Before the beginning of each stage, some of the locals, they get the chance to display much of their culture and their traditions. Often dance plays a huge part of it. Dances of all varieties, and if you get the opportunity to visit China, you see plenty of dancing in large groups on street corners, not busking, just dancing, and it keeps you young. A more traditional dance and also traditional costume. Slightly more peaceful than some of the dancing that we saw before yesterday's stage, where the swords were out and so too the batons. The local dignitaries getting the opportunity to speak before the stage get underway. Before the sign-on, Dylan Kennett amongst the first riders to sign on. The race leader, Boris Verlet. Thumbs up from the red jersey as well. This is Wan Yao Vincent Liao, who leads the best Chinese rider classification. The green jersey with Milano, the Manzana Postobon team been riding well. So too, Cormac McGough. Let's now get down to the leader of the Chinese classification, Liao, one of the big contenders to try and hold on to red. There are 3 sprints today, and the competition for the red jersey is getting more intense. Today, I'll try my best to defend my position at those 3 sprints and not give those time bonuses to my competitors. I want to wear the red jersey as long as I can, maybe even to the very last.
I feel all right. It's pretty hard to say. It's hard to change actually to arrive like in a breakaway, because I'm not the type of rider which can sprint from the field sprint, and it's a lot of teams who are really interesting in that, final sprint, and we'll see. We'll try to, we try every opportunity to get some bonification seconds, because end of the day it's gonna it's gonna decide everything in seconds. So we're working hard, and we'll see what we can do.
Sure, because yesterday all guys work hard, so today I hope arrive in front in the sprint, and we will try again.
Yesterday's stage win was real big boost for me and the team, and hopefully we can build on that for the next few stages, and look to try push my way up on the sprint jersey and the GC now, actually, after taking back 16 seconds yesterday. So it's really good.
Yeah, the stage is important, but first we're gonna fight for the GC, then maybe the green jersey or so. But I be care to stay on the front with my team, and I have a strong team just next to me. Then it's good to have a strong team.
He does have a strong team surrounding him. The Wanty Group Goubert team have done well to not just defend the advantage of Boris Verlet, but also extend that lead. Stage victory would be nice, so too the green jersey, but the priority is the orange jersey. We also heard from yesterday's stage winner, Dylan Kennett, who took some time bonuses yesterday, 16 seconds in total, which has been enough to move him up to 16th place overall, just 31 seconds behind. The gun going to get stage 5 underway. The red jersey with Liao at the front, the orange jersey for Boris Verlet, the green jersey sitting on the shoulders of Juan Sebastian Milano, and the blue jersey for the best young rider, that is Cormac McGough of the Jelly Belly team. The green jersey though, Milano, he wears that on loan. He actually sits in 2nd position in that classification, 4 points behind Boris Verlet. This is the first of the stages that we've seen throughout this year's Tour of Taihu Lake, where they've had a neutral start, sitting behind one of the race lead vehicles before the flag comes in to get the stage underway. This highlights the fact that we're getting the chance to start almost in the heart of the city of Nantong. Needing to get out of town just a little bit before the flag comes in to really get the racing started. Longest stage of the race, 146 kilometres, giving many of the riders in the race the optimism that perhaps this could be the day where the breakaway does survive. And as is always the case when there is a car at the front going through the neutral zone, there's the eager anticipation of the specialists from the breakaway getting themselves up towards the front. This is Matchid Grosjean in the black and yellow colours. He was in the breakaway on stage 1. His teammate Ben Hill has been in multiple breakaways. And this is a team that we expect to be very aggressive throughout the earlier phases of stage 5. As the leader of the red jersey classification, Liao hinted 3 intermediate sprints on this stage with the all-important time bonuses, 3 seconds for the win, 2 and 1 for the minor placings. At the stage finish, it's a 10-second time bonus for the winner, 6 seconds for second, 4 seconds for third place. And even for the overall race leader, Boris Fillet, who holds on to a 14-second advantage over his nearest rivals, those time bonuses can and should ultimately prove decisive. So far for Boris Fillet, he has been defending well. This is the Sports and Convention Centre. It's affectionately known as the Bird's Nest Stadium of the South. It has a retractable roof and it has hosted many sporting events, and it's also been used as an exhibition hall. Lots of other venues attached to it off to the side as well, which form part of this complex. The town itself, it has 7 Olympic Games gold medalists, 19 World Championships, and has been developing a reputation as a real sporting hub. And it's so important for the development of athletes to have the facilities to be able to train in, so they can then go on and take on the rest of the world. Throughout the earlier phases of the stage, super aggressive start. Sitting at the back of the peloton, number 164, Dylan Kennett, yesterday's stage winner, also the winner of the opening prologue, not wasting energy at the beginning of the stage, waiting at the back and saving himself for both the intermediate sprints and the stage finish. See the bandage tan here of Monsalve, the Venezuelan national champion, still suffering through those injuries. A little bit further up in the group, just spotted the fluoro colours of the Willia Trestina rider. That is Jakub Mareczko, another one of the favourites for stage honours today. Ben Wolf at the front of the race for the Jelly Belly team. This is a team that has 3 riders positioned inside the top 10 in the overall standings, but none of them are sprinters. Wolf is one of them. He's in 9th position overall. In front of him is McGough in 8th position. Then it's Sheldon in 7th position. The green jersey, Milano, just like Kennett, sitting at the back, saving those sprinting legs. He's had 2 stage victories so far, 1 Sebastian Milano. He decided to take the role of Super Domestique yesterday, doing the lead-outs in the sprint finish. Number 4, Danny Lopez. He was really impressive yesterday. He crashed heavily with 54 kilometres remaining on the stage, remounted, caught the peloton, and managed to finish in 3rd position. For Lopez, that was his 2nd and 3rd place finish of the race, the other one coming on stage 1. Also at the rear of the peloton, the fluoro colours of the Willia Trestina sprinter, Jakub Mareczko. There he is, just sneaking into the picture, riding on the white bike as well. Relaxed atmosphere at the back of the peloton. Meanwhile, at the front of the race, desperate moves to try and get into the breakaway. General convention is the longest stage of a tour, any tour. It's an opportunity for the breakaway to be able to go form early, establish a lead, build up an advantage of perhaps as much as 1.5 to 2 minutes, and then see if the sprinters can reel them back in. But this race has been ridden at such a rapid speed that the breakaway has had all sorts of trouble trying to form. This is Nathan Earl with the beard from the Israel Cycling Academy. That's a team that finds himself in a really similar position to Jelly Belly. They've got a couple of riders well placed in the general classification, Turek and Williams, both of them inside the top 10, but neither of them noted sprinters. Their sprinter, Edwin Avila, he was disqualified from the race after an incident on stage 2. Earl being chased down here by the St. George Continental Cycling team. It's Ryan Kavanagh doing the chasing. They're the teammates of Dylan Kennett. And Kennett, although sitting at the back early on, no doubt will be attentive and racing for the intermediate sprints. The Eritrean team, there's been no questions about their aggression and their desire to get themselves into the breakaway. They've been riding very well. Ukrainian national champion, making his way up towards the front. This is Alexander Polivoda. Buddhism has a huge influence on the way of life in Nantong, with many of the temples nestled in the peaceful setting of the city's surrounding mountains. In contrast to the natural landscape is the burgeoning urban development of what is a thriving city. Another incredibly fast stage. This is stage 5 of the Tour of Taihu Lake, and the destination is Haimen. It's the longest stage of the race, 146 kilometres, and it is a day with speeds averaging 48 kilometres per hour, making it extremely difficult for any breakaway to seriously get formed off the front. We've seen quite a few attempts of riders to try and get away. And these are the jelly belly colours of the Mexican sprinter from this team. This is Ulises Castillo, who is at the front of this group. And just poking into the picture at the rear of the group, that looks as if it may well be Jianpeng Liu, who's the rider that sits in second position in the race for the red jersey as the best Chinese rider. Taylor Sheldon now coming through to the front for Jelly Belly. 55 seconds. This is a good breakaway group. And it is Jianpeng Liu who's managed to get himself off the front. He's got good company. This is a dangerous breakaway on two fronts. Number 104, Taylor Sheldon, he sits at 25 seconds down in the overall classification. That will catch the attention of Wanty Group Goubert, who have the race lead sitting on the shoulders of Boris Verlet. Number 91, this is the rider who's in second position in the battle for the red jersey. This is Jianpeng Liu. He's just 1 second behind the race for red. He was so close in the first intermediate sprint yesterday. Likewise again today, looking for the time bonuses, but so far has come up just a fraction short. This is Castillo at the back of the group, number 101. Had a fall 2 days ago on the stage to Jinhu, but he looked like a man that was made of rubber. He hit the deck and he bounced straight back up. This breakaway has the cohesion of a well-choreographed boy band. Everybody in harmony at the fronts, trying to drive home the advantage that they've built up over the peloton. This is the cycling team of Hong Kong at the front. They are chasing because of the presence of Jianpeng Liu up in the breakaway. He's the rider that is threatening the red jersey. You can see Wan Yao Liao, the rider that sits in fourth position, wearing the red jersey of the leader of the Chinese classification. They've already had themselves on the back foot in this same situation once before. That was leading up to the second of the intermediate sprints. The Hong Kong team got the job done. They closed things down, and then they managed to make sure that they defended that red jersey. But we're around about 10 to 11 minutes away from the next of the intermediate sprints, and they've got a lot of work to do to be able to close it down. .47 seconds now the advantage for the trio out in front. Maximum lead they've been able to build up was 55 seconds. Real unity in that front group. Two riders from the same team, and the other rider in the group, Jianpeng Liu, from the team Hengjian cycling team, which translates as Fly Forever. Full commitment from the three riders out in front. It's okay at the moment for the Wanty Group Goubert team because they can sit back and watch the team from Hong Kong do a lot of the chasing. Through the finish line for the first time. 58 kilometres remaining. Peloton now making the turn to be able to see that finish line out in front of them. This is the ideal boulevard for the sprinters. You can see the quality of the road surface, 4 lanes wide. It really will come down at the end of the stage. Assuming the breakaway does get caught, to a sprint royale with a big drag race amongst the men with the highest speed. You can see the red and yellow colours of the Eritrean national team all riding up towards the fronts. Liao himself in the red jersey at the front of the main field. Peloton making their way through the finish line. It gives you a better impression as to just how quick they are going. Charging through at speeds approaching 50 kilometres per hour. The Hong Kong team at this point not getting any assistance from Wanty Group Goubert. Wanty Group Goubert, they've got more time to be able to defend. The best placed rider in the breakaway group is Taylor Sheldon, and he sits at 25 seconds behind the orange jersey of Boris Vallet. For the Hong Kong team, they've been reasonably quiet up until this point, saving themselves, doing what they can to support Liao in the red jersey, and now it's time to step up. This was the first of the intermediate sprints, and the winner of yesterday's stage, Dylan Kennett, once again showing that he's got some good finishing speed. This is Volcans at the front doing the lead out for Liu to try and get the 1 second time bonus to move into the red jersey. Jianping Liu starts the sprint. Kennett waits patiently, comes off the wheel, nabs the points, gets the time bonus. It was Bonifacio in second position, followed by Chima in third place. But watch the reaction of Liu in fourth. Confirmation of those results with Kennett ahead of Bonifacio and Chima, but then in fourth position, the frustration of Liu just missing out. This was Techkov making a move heading to the second of the intermediate sprints. A rider who sits at just 18 seconds down overall. But the chase was on from the St. George Continental team, looking for another clean sweep for Kennett's. Yesterday, Kennett won both intermediate sprints, plus he won the stage. He needs all the time bonuses to improve his position in the general classification. But the orange jersey of Vallet, using all of his experience, and then Kennett got boxed in ever so slightly. It was Fonzi, Giuseppe Fonzi, blasting around the outside to take the win. Chima was in second spot. It was then Vallet in third position. Giuseppe Fonzi from the Willia Trestina team across the line in first position. Then Chima, and just holding on for third, Boris Vallet. So he collects himself a 1 second time bonus. Kennett showing his slight lack of experience then, just getting caught in a little bit of traffic. But again, this is all part of that learning process. The team, they've invested heavily in Dylan Kennett, trying to develop him into a strong road rider. He's already proven himself at international level on the velodrome as a medalist at the Commonwealth Games this year. And he's proven himself very quickly on the road. Kennett has already won 2 stages of this race. This is the Wolf Mountain, the Buddhist temple that sits at the top of this mountain. Main attraction is the Zhangzhou Temple, also rich in mineral resources. Classic Chinese imagery with the bridge, the water house at the top, and a beautiful view as well from the tower. It's the man that's still in the show though at the front. Jianping Liu, 25-year-old, who is a pretty good sprinter. This is Castillo. Had a nasty crash last year in training, actually. Castillo was hit by a car when he was out training. This is Taylor Sheldon, the rider who's the best placed overall from this breakaway group. Sheldon sits in 7th position in the overall classification, 25 seconds behind the leader's jersey of Boris Vallet. This has proven to be a tough chase for the boys in blue. Sounds like a reference to the police, the tough chase for the boys in blue, but it's the Hong Kong cycling team trying to chase down that breakaway. This is a new experience for the riders on this squad. And unfortunately, they're -1 rider. They had abandoned the race on stage 2. This tells the story as to how warm it is. The weather conditions throughout this race have been idyllic, and today there's just a tiny little bit of cloud cover, but lots of blue sky to be able to enjoy. All the teams getting themselves lined up in order within the peloton, all behind the riders from Hong Kong. 23 riders remain in the race, eligible for the lead in the red jersey classification, riders from China. Did start with 33 riders eligible for that classification, but 10 of them have abandoned the race so far, some through crashes, some from being outside of the time delay. The rider just off to the right-hand side of the screen with the orange shoes on, clearing his nostrils. That was Ben Dybel. He's the man who sits in 2nd place overall, 14 seconds behind the race lead. Dybel rides for the St George Continental Cycling Team. They have had a very successful race. Dybel in a podium position overall, Kennett with 2 stage victories, and today Kennett is in with a chance to make it 3. And with the time bonus that Kennett picked up at the first intermediate sprint, where he won a 3-second time bonus, that has been enough to move him from 16th position overall at the start of the day up to 7th position now. In fact, up to 8th position. Sheldon in the breakaway holds on to 7th for the moment. Plus, he's sure to get a time bonus at the next of the intermediate sprints. So Dylan Kennett is now up to 8th place overall. Liao himself in the red jersey having to do some of the chasing of that breakaway group. Normal situation, certainly with the bigger teams in world cycling, the man who wears the jersey as the leader of a specific classification would not be contributing to the chase. He would be sitting at the end of the train of his teammates as they do all the work and he saves his energy. Dating back more than 5,000 years, Nantong is a city with a rich history. The Hao River Museum is a place for the children to learn about local culture and traditions, as well as the famous people who have lived here in the past. Stage 5 of the Tour of Taihu Lake. This is the 9th edition of the race, and it's the strongest peloton that's ever been assembled for this race. The Tour is going from strength to strength, and the words of the dual winner of this race, Marechko, tell the story. When he won the stage 2 days ago, he himself conceded it's getting tougher and tougher to win here in China because there are so many strong teams. This breakaway is working really well together. Ulysses Alfredo Castillo is the rider who's at the front. The 26-year-old is really burying his head. 2nd in the Mexican National Championships earlier on this year. 2nd place finish as well at the Tour of Utah. He's had a couple of near misses, but not quite the victory. Taylor Sheldon is the next one through the screen. This is Jianpeng Liu. Great to see so much activity here. This is a town that is well renowned for its sporting facilities, and the game of football is growing in popularity. so too is cycling. There's been plenty of locals on the side of the road throughout this year's race. And it's great to see them watching some of the world's best in action. And they'll be paying very close attention to the red jersey. It's Liao on the front for the Hong Kong team, chasing for his own defence. Now the riders from Monte Group Goubert are in the fluoro yellow and blue colours. They can just sit back and they can watch the others do the chasing. Boris Valet at the moment, the virtual race leader is Taylor Sheldon in the breakaway, but Valet won't be overly concerned about that. With still just inside 50 kilometres remaining, he'll be confident that his teammates, when they get called to the front, would be able to close it down. A Heyman football training facility as we get another chance to take a look at that with the race making its way by. This is Burhu at the front, number 204. He's the rider from this team that will prove to be, I'm sure, the most important for the man in the red jersey, Liao, as Burhu is the current time trial champion of Hong Kong. He finished 4th this year in the Asian Championships in the road race. So he's the strongest rider from the Hong Kong team to be able to try and reel in that breakaway and give Liao a chance of defending his lead as the top of the classification for the best Chinese rider in the race. Unfortunately for Liao, so far they are not making a lot of progress on that breakaway, and the break is quickly approaching on the 3rd intermediate sprint. They get the update, 37 seconds their advantage. Sheldon with a lot to gain, number 104, the man who was driving at the front. But number 91, the objective for number 91 really is to make it to the 2nd intermediate sprint. For Jianpeng Liu, the 2nd sprint is as important for him as what the finish line is today. If he can get to that 2nd intermediate sprint and finish in at least 2nd position, that will move him into the lead of the red jersey classification. Castillo rolling through. Next in line is Sheldon. Taylor Sheldon, he's got some experience in this race. He rode here last year when he finished in 14th position overall. Full commitment out in front from all 3 riders. Castillo, number 101, he's normally the sprinter for the Jelly Belly squad, but he's riding for time gains for his teammate Sheldon. The riders in the red and white colours now moving up towards the front. They're the teammates of Jianpeng Liu. They're trying to disrupt the chase as much as they possibly can. They're interrupting with the chase, in fact, here significantly. And the riders from Monte Group Goubert are saying it might be technically within the rules, but that is outside the spirit of the race. It is becoming very willing up the front of the peloton. The riders from the Henjing cycling team doing all they can to impede the chase from the riders of Hong Kong. Here's another chance to take a look at it. Trying to push their way into the working train of the Hong Kong team. They're entitled to move up towards the front. There's no rules against it, quite obviously. But the respectful thing to do is sit behind the chase and perhaps just try to psych them out of it. You can see the tension and just how much is at stake. And Wesley Creeder swooping around the outside from Monte Group Goubert. Language, a common language not required. I think the tone of the message would have been the message itself. So the red jerseys getting up amongst it. Here are the leaders. Number 91, Jianpeng. causing all sorts of problems for the team from Hong Kong as they're trying to chase him down. And that is the battle, 35 seconds separating. Jianping Liu at the front. And it is Wan Yao Liao at the head of the peloton. He wears red for now, and Liu wants to wear it this evening. I wonder if Liu at the front of the race has formed any sort of agreement with the two riders from Jelly Belly. Let's all work together, but can you please at least me get second place in the intermediate sprints? This is Castillo, who of the leading three is actually the best sprinter, but I'm anticipating that he may well finish in third position at the next intermediate sprint and aim to get number 104, Sheldon, the maximum time gain with the 3-second time bonus. That would provide the greatest benefit for the team. That would enable Sheldon to move from 7th position up to 6th place overall, and then just 1 second behind the top 5. Cycling is often referred to as chess on wheels. The Chinese, they love their chess, and they're slowly but surely falling in love with cycling as well. You can see by the way Liu, number 91 at the front of this group here, the way his hips are rocking and rolling in the saddle, and occasionally just pushes himself to the rear of the saddle once again. That in cycling terms and old cycling parlance is known as on the rivets. The sprints opening up early. Castillo doing the lead out, or is he? They're playing a tactical game here, the riders from Jelly Belly. They're not quite at the sprinters yet. They're about to make the right-hand turn. Then they'll see the finish line once again. And Sheldon is forcing Liu to do the chasing. Castillo now leading out. This has worked out okay for Jianping Liu. He's got himself in a position where he should be able to pick up at least second place. Sheldon is in the box seat, sitting at the rear of this group. Still holding on to an advantage of a little over 30 seconds over the peloton. Sheldon anxiously checking across the shoulder. Castillo doing the lead out as anticipated, making sure that Sheldon can collect that maximum 3-second time bonus. Jianping Liu has been sprinting well. He just needs to be a little patient. Now's the time to go. Liu makes a move. Sheldon's got his nose in front. It will be Sheldon who gets the points. Liu, though, in second position. That will be all important. Sheldon with a 3-second time bonus. Jianping Liu across the line in second place. 2-second time bonus. He is now the leader in the race for the red jersey. And you can see his left hand is going straight to his jersey. That's because he's got the clip just inside his jersey with the microphone back to the team to let them know, I got second. Got a 2-second time bonus. I'm now the best Chinese rider in this race. Able to keep by surprise, taking maximum points and the maximum time bonus. Castillo at the back of the group in third position, sacrificing himself for his American teammates. All this is a little dangerous and a little hairy for the Soigneurs. Some riders going to their right-hand side, others to the left. Don't move. And now Taylor Sheldon off the front with a 5-point gain in the race for the green jersey, a 3-second time bonus for the overclassification. Jianping Liu in second spot, 3 points for green, but most importantly, a 2-second time bonus. He's now the best Chinese rider. Peloton still strung out in single file. The Hong Kong team now can actually afford to stop chasing. Their whole objective was to chase and close it down before that intermediate sprint. They know that, sure, with Liu still off the front, maybe a chance to win the stage? It's highly unlikely, because at this point, if the Hong Kong team swing off the front of the peloton, then we'll see Wanty Group Goubert do the chasing. And this is no surprise either. As anticipated, Jianpeng Liu, his stage finish was that intermediate sprint. As soon as he's gone through the intermediate sprint, he's sat up and now he's saving the legs and he heads back into the comfort of the peloton. And if it remains status quo for the remainder of the stage, he'll be on the podium to collect the red jersey. And now it's Wanty Group Goubert who have to do the chasing. And congratulations from his teammates for Liu. The Hong Kong team, the chase, it was in earnest, but it wasn't quite enough. Liao, the former leader now of the race for the red jersey, although he still wears it throughout today's stage, he's been pessimistic since the moment he got that jersey on the opening day in the prologue. He's always been worried about Liu to be able to take the jersey off his shoulders, and unfortunately that fear has been proven to be well founded. 34 seconds is the advantage for Taylor Sheldon. Left off the front on his own. This is bad news for the 31-year-old American. He would have dearly hoped that he was able to keep his two breakaway companions with him. Jianpeng Liu went out there with one objective. Castillo, once that intermediate sprint was done, he too raises the white flag and heads back to the main field. This is Marco Minard on the front for Wanty Group Goubert. We will see plenty of Marco for the next 35 kilometres. The sprinters will be pretty happy with the course today. That's a nice wide boulevard to sprint on. They get a few opportunities to take a look at the circuit before the final sprint itself. Nantong is quickly becoming one of China's top tourist destinations. It's also one of the best places for the older generation with its peaceful environment and renowned excellent air quality. This is Jun Mountain that we're now getting a chance to take a look at. It's also sometimes referred to as Elephant Mountain because its shape resembles the Elephant Mountain. With the Buddhist monument at the top of it, many of the Buddhist monuments here are located at the top of mountains. And with the peaceful surrounding of the water in the background as well, what a gorgeous place it is. Beautiful views up over the city itself as we look down upon now of the leader on the road. This is Taylor Sheldon. Into the time trial position, and he did ride well on the opening day. Put in a strong performance against the clock on the opening stage, the 5.5 kilometre prologue around Wuji, and that has enabled him to hold on to a spot inside the top 10. And with the time bonus that he collected at that previous intermediate sprint, he moves from 7th up to 6th place. And he still has two other teammates from Jelly Belly sitting inside the top 10. Cormac McGough is 8th overall and Ben Wolf is 9th. Now the classifications, the green jersey. You can see the green jersey up towards the front of the peloton for the first time. That's Juan Sebastian Milano, but he's actually in 2nd place in that classification, 4 points behind Boris Vallet. 3rd place in that competition is Danny Lopez, the Spanish sprinter who's had 2 third-place finishes so far throughout the race. And then 4th is Dylan Kennett. Rounding out the top 5 is Jakob Mareczko. Wanty Group Goubert still doing all the pacemaking at the front. Worth discussing the strategy yesterday for the Manzana Postobon team. The green jersey with Milano, already 2 stage victories. And he decided, well, I'm leaving the team at the end of the season. I'm going to return a few favours. So he did the lead out for Jordan Parra. Milano ended up finishing in 51st position on the stage. Once he finished the lead out, he did the right thing. He swung off to the right-hand side of the road and just got out of the way. And Jordan Parra finished in 9th position. It's a nice thing to do, but it's not in the best interest of the sponsor. So you would make the strong argument today, if you were the sponsor at Manzana Postobon, get back in order, do the line out where it's Parra leading out Milano. That is the team's best chance of winning the stage. It's not quite midday local time, but it's early enough for lunch for Taylor Sheldon. I wonder if he's eating any Jelly Bellies. He is. They are Jelly Bellies. He's eating the sponsor's product, the sports beans. That is a genuine endorsement. Education is certainly a high priority here in China. None less so than what it is here at the finish line today in Haimen. Making the journey down along the Hao River as the Peloton make their way across the river. Beautiful shots with clear blue skies. Perfect weather conditions for racing. Not much wind once again. It's been one of the repetitive comments of the race. Hardly a breath of wind. Temperatures, high teens or low 20s today. Shorts and t-shirt weather. The urban sprawl continues. The town itself is only around about 60 kilometres from Shanghai. Monte Group Goubert with the entire team at the front of the peloton. Mark McNally having a drink, sitting just behind the orange jersey. Then in the pink colours, the first of the riders from the St George team. That was Morgan Smith. Here is the green jersey of Milano. Sits on the wheel of Giuseppe Fonzi. Fonzi was the winner of the second intermediate sprint today. And the Manzana Postobon team, again, it is falling into their lap. They can just sit back and wait. They don't need to chase today. You wouldn't have any expectation that the Manzana Postobon team would come to the front and assist with the chase of Taylor Sheldon. Taylor Sheldon started the day at 25 seconds down in the overall standings. With the way the time bonuses have played out so far on the stage, he now moves himself to 23 seconds behind the race lead. Team management at Jelly Belly, they're still looking for a new sponsor for next year. It's Marco Menard still at the front, followed by Kevin Van Malsen. Next in line is Jasper de Leet. And then it is behind him Wesley Creeder, followed by the orange jersey of the overall race leader, Boris Valet. Chance to make our way past the football academy once again. Multiple pitches, lots of mini pitches as well, to be able to do some skills drills, developing a strong football culture in China. And good to see so many spectators on the side of the road. Near the back of the peloton, the blue jersey of the leader of the best young rider classification. That is Cormac McGough. And he doesn't have a lot of time to play with. He finds himself sitting just 2 seconds ahead of Remy Rocher in that classification, with his teammate Keegan Schwerbel also at 2 seconds behind. Wanty Group Goubert is the team in this race with the highest expectations. They're the only team in the race who have ridden the Tour de France. They've ridden the Tour for the last couple of seasons. Boris Valet, the man in the orange colours, he missed out on selection for the team this year, but he's hoping for a strong end of the season to get higher up the pecking order as to who's on the long list for the Tour team for next season. No shortage of water throughout this region. Lush green fields in the surrounding area as well. Peloton now making the right-hand turn. We still want to Group Goubert controlling the race at the front. The first of the riders in the pink and black colours is Morgan Smith. Morgan Smith plays a crucial role for Dylan Kennett of doing the lead out in the sprint finishes and really needs to get Kennett some clear air with 200 metres to go. He got swamped significantly in the second intermediate sprint and he missed out on collecting any time bonuses there. St George Continental Cycling Team, though, budget-wise, they're one of the smaller teams in the race, but they are punching above their weight, which is no surprise given that it's a team that includes a lot of Kiwis. 28 seconds, the lead for the sole rider off the front, Taylor Sheldon. Buddhism has a huge influence on the way of life in Nantong, with many of the temples nestled in the peaceful setting of the cities surrounding mountains. In contrast, the natural landscape is the burgeoning urban development of what is a thriving city. Stage 5, the Tour of Taihu Lake. The destination is Haimen. This is the longest stage of the race at 146 kilometres. Taylor Sheldon is off the front on his own, but it took quite a while for a Breakaway to get established of what has been another quick day's racing. Race got underway with all the leaders of the various classifications up at the front of the peloton. The orange jersey, the overall race leader, Boris Valet. The blue jersey for the best young rider with Cormac McGough. The red jersey for the lead Chinese rider with Wan Yao Liao, and the green jersey, today at least, sitting on the shoulders of Juan Sebastian Milano. But he has that on loan from Boris Valet. But Valet has a responsibility as the overall race leader. Coming to the first of the intermediate sprints, it was Jianpeng Liu with his teammates giving him the big leader in the hope of collecting a time bonus to get the lead in the race for the red jersey. But it was yesterday's stage winner, Dylan Kennett, who continued in a winning fashion, getting maximum points ahead of Bonifacio and Chima. And with enough time for Kennett to check across the shoulder, Bonifacio and Chima, both solid sprinters from the Nippo Vini Fantini team, they placed well on yesterday's stage. Into the second of the intermediate sprints, the St George Continental team, they made a slight mess of the lead-outs, and Kennett got boxed in as Valet was trying to extend his lead in the overall classification, but it was Giuseppe Fonzi who showed everybody a clean pair of wheels, getting the points this time ahead of Chima, and then Valet in third, importantly picking up another 1 second time bonus. Jianpeng Liu on that occasion across the line in 6th position, again missing out on the time bonus that he needs to move into the lead in the race for the red jersey. Lots of attempts to try and form a breakaway from that moment on. Ben Hill, not surprisingly, super aggressive, but unfortunately abandoned the race, Chung Long Zhang from the Ningzhai Sports Lottery team. The Hong Kong team, they were then put on the defensive as the teammates of Jianping Liu came to the front to try and spoil the chase of the riders from Hong Kong, and it got a little heated at the front of the peloton. This was on the approach to the third and final of the intermediate sprints, as Castillo from the Jelly Belly team was leading out the sprint for his teammate Sheldon. Sheldon playing a smart and patient game, sitting at the back of the breakaway group. Jianping Liu wanting to at least get second position at the intermediate sprint to collect the time bonus. Sheldon waited. Castillo took him to the 200-metre mark, and then right on cue, Taylor Sheldon opened up the sprint. Jianping Liu had enough to hold on for second. Sheldon with the win, 5 points for green, a 3-second time bonus. Liu across the line in second spot, 3 points in the race for the green jersey, but most importantly, a 2-second time bonus for the rider from China. He will now, at the end of the day, if he can maintain this position, wear the red jersey as the lead Chinese rider in the race. Mission accomplished for Jianping Liu. Back live with just on 29.4 kilometres remaining, and it is still Taylor Sheldon on his own, off the front. It is the impossible task for the sole rider off the front. And he's not riding like a man who believes he can hold off the peloton. The Wanty Group Goubert team, though, they're doing all they can at this point not to catch him. They want to leave the catch until, perhaps, ideally for them, with roughly 5Ks to go. And you can see by the way Sheldon's just clutching through that corner, taking it relatively easily. Now checking across the shoulder. He's showing the signs of a man who wants to be caught. This sort of performance, though, should put him in the box seat to be awarded the most combative prize on the stage. And there's the peloton making the turn for the finish line once again. Beautiful flowers in the medium strip in between what is a dual carriageway with 4 lanes on both sides. Sitting down at the back of the peloton, that's Vos Gallens, who has been important for Jianping Liu throughout this race. Sheldon looking comfortable. Chance for him to pick up a fresh water bottle as he makes his way safely through the feed zone. The blur of speed from the peloton as they head through the finish line once again. But also reinforces the commitment of cycling fans to go out and stand on the side of the road and watch the field just blast on by. The great benefit of this race is there's a couple of circuits at the start of the stage, 4 laps of the finishing circuit at the end of the stage. It gives the spectators more reward for their time investment. Teams getting themselves all lined up, single file behind the Wanty Group Goubert team. It's then St. George Continental Cycling Team, then the blue colours of United Healthcare, the pink colours as well of Manzana Postobon. Sheldon wants to be put out of his misery. It's not a fully concerted effort here from Taylor Sheldon. I know for a fact that the 31-year-old has got a little bit more horsepower than this. There he is looking wantonly back at the peloton. Down into the time trial position now for Sheldon. The challenge now for Wanty Group Goubert is how much work do they need to do at the front? How quick do they need to keep the tempo to prevent too many more attacks, but then they also need to keep something in reserve to be able to provide a lead out in the sprint finish for Boris Vallet. The one rider from that team who has not been doing any of the pacemaking, in addition to the race leader himself, Boris Vallet, as he's not called upon at all at this point of the stage. The other protected rider is Mark McNally, the British rider from that team, who incidentally doesn't have a contract with the team for next season. He has big responsibility of trying to do the lead out at the end of the stage for Boris Vallet. So they'll be saving his energy just as much as they will be the race leader. Well, he's not exactly sitting up here, Taylor Sheldon. Shoulders dead still. You could put a serving tray of wine glasses on the top of his shoulders, not moving at all. Back in the peloton, quite a sense of calm. The red jersey that you can see towards the rear end of the peloton, that is Wan Yao Liao, who at this point is the former leader of that red jersey classification. Best Chinese rider now is Jianping Liu. No great hurry to go around Monte Group Goubert, who you can see at the front by the way they're having a bit of a conversation. They're doing their best to back off the tempo. They're trying not to catch Taylor Sheldon. This is the quintessential game of cat and mouse, and the cat's not hungry yet. Skoda vehicles, the official cars for the Tour of Taihu Lake. Number 101, this is Castillo at the back of the peloton. He was initially in the breakaway group of 3 with his teammate Taylor Sheldon. Also down at the back, number 65, that's Techkov. Having a conversation with Tyler Williams. Both those riders inside the top 10 in the general classification. Neither of them, however, particularly quick sprinters. Taylor Sheldon still holding on to the lead. Black and yellow colours that you can see moving up around the outside of the peloton. That's the Ljubljana Gusto team. They tried desperately to get into the breakaway today, particularly with Ben Hill. So now that the break, they're confirming that the break won't be working today, they'll turn their attention to their sprinter Ziga German. Ziga finished 7th on the stage yesterday. The riders on the fluoro orange bikes, that's the Nippo Vini Fantini team. Both of their sprinters, Bonifacio and Chima, have been sprinting well, but they need to work out which one is the leader. They've been splitting the points so far throughout the intermediate sprints. This is the Nantong Lakeside Park. And this park, Exhibition Park, also plenty of opportunities to go and enjoy the scenery sitting nearby. And great spot for the kids. Some of the theme parks include the Source of Westbrook, which is known as Shuzhou, and Seeking Zen of Yancheng. Sheldon, I think much to his displeasure, still on his own off the front. He would love to have a little bit more company up here. This is one of his teammates. This is Keegan Schwerbel at the back of the peloton. They've been very active in the race, Jelly Belly, which is always the case with this team. This is the Giant cycling team now, making a move to try and get off the front. The team's been quiet so far. Their best placed rider is Jing Song Liu, who sits at 13 minutes and 52 seconds down. Most of the team had real trouble on stage 2. In fact, 3 of the riders from this team did not finish stage 2. That was the stage in Giron where there was all the climbing to be had. The locals at the finish line, they get the advantage of watching on the big screen before turning their attention to the road itself and seeing the action live. Hopefully, a few of the kids are inspired to try and make it onto the world stage in cycling. Even the police, who do a wonderful job of making the race safe, they're also enjoying the racing. It always staggers me how security guards at sporting events can sit or stand with their back to all the action. 16 seconds is the advantage for Taylor Sheldon. Much to his pleasure, he's about to get some company. Haiman also means the gate to the ocean, its name coming from the city's key position where the Yangtze River merges with the ocean. And being just 60 kilometres from Shanghai, it plays an important role in China's booming trade and technology sectors. "11 seconds, the lead for Taylor Sheldon. This is stage 5, the Tour of Taihu Lake. The American's been off the front for the past 50 kilometres. For a little while he had some company. He's then been on his own since the third and final of the intermediate sprints, and he's about to be joined by one rider trying to bridge across. This is Marco Minard at the front of the peloton for Wanty Group Goubert. Just behind him is Kevin Van Mallison, and now Sheldon has got himself someone to work with. The Giant Racing team, we haven't seen too much of them at the front so far. They've been under a lot of pressure just to survive. 3 of their riders did not finish stage 2, so they're down to just 3 riders still in the race, but showing real strength of character, great resilience to be able to bounce back and now get into the breakaway on the longest stage of the race. Sheldon will be pleased. A little check across the shoulder though, their advantage is not much more than 10 seconds. This is Bing Cheng Gu up in front, who's managed to make it across. He sits a long way down the overall standings. In fact, he's at 18 minutes and 14 seconds down. Bing Cheng Gu, just 22 years of age, and he only joined the team midway through the season. He's proven to be a pretty good recruit, just based on the fact that he's managed to survive a couple of tough days of racing and worked his way through to the breakaway. This is the Yangtze River Bridge, the Sutong Yangtze River Bridge, connecting Nantong through to Suzhou, and it took 5 years to be able to build this, and it's one of the more complex engineering structures that we have in this part of the country. And the bridge has brought plenty of business opportunities to the town of Nantong. Seen Bing Cheng Gu make it across to the lead and joining Sheldon, and has increased the tempo with the main peloton, but Sheldon again, as he swings off from the front, checks on the whereabouts of the main field. He clearly is not a man who likes his chances of being able to stay off the front. The 22-year-old Gu at the front for Giant. Giant Bikes, they've been one of the leaders in terms of manufacturing since they came into the professional peloton in the 1990s. The Olympic Games gold medalist from 1992, Kathy Watt, in the women's road race, was one of the first people to really launch Giant Bikes onto the world stage. And then the famous Spanish team, Once, rode Giant Bikes for quite a long time throughout the 1990s. It's good to see them now sponsoring one of the Asian teams. 2 riders off the front, just inside 20 Ks to go. They can almost reach out and grab them. The Wanty Group Goubert team teasing the breakaway group of 2. as we still sit with Sheldon out in front and Gu sitting just behind him. One of the stories that caught my attention from yesterday's stage was that of Natnil Tesfazion. He's the Eritrean rider who punched with 6 kilometres to go, and I thought 6 Ks to go, with the speed the peloton was moving, no chance of returning to the peloton, save your legs for the following day. Somehow he managed to rejoin the peloton and he finished in 21st position. Clearly he didn't have the legs to really contest the sprint finish and be right at the front end, but it shows the depth of his current form. He was 4th on the previous stage, so the green highlighter pen is out across the name of Natnil Tesfazion. He is a chance to reach the top 3 today. Bing Chenggu swings off from doing another turn of pace at the front. And the body language now with Taylor Sheldon is looking much more positive. He's enjoying having somebody to work with. On a flat stretch of road like this, with no wind at all, the advantage you get sitting behind someone, it's about 30% easier. So that lets you recuperate, then you go to the front, and you can together, by working in cohesion, ride slightly quicker than you otherwise would if you were out there on your own. A bit more movement now in the peloton. Seeing the white colours on the right-hand side of the road, that's the Burgos BH team. They're trying to position Danny Lopez up towards the front of the field. Lopez has had 2 third-place finishes so far and 1 Superman-style crash. That was yesterday. He crashed yesterday 54 kilometres from the finish, still managed to finish in 3rd place. They build them tough in Spain. All calm at the rear end of the main peloton. And the riders from Hong Kong now sitting at the back in the blue colours, having done the chasing, trying to defend the red jersey. It didn't quite work out. Haimen is a city that embraces its open spaces and has built a world-class public service system. With a well-founded reputation for clean air, it is also a great place for people of all ages to live. Stage 5, the Tour of Taihu Lake, coming down towards the closing stage of the race with 17 kilometres remaining. This is the longest stage of the Tour this year at 146 kilometres in total. There's still 2 more days of racing to decide the orange jersey, but today could prove crucial, particularly for Dylan Kennett. Dylan Kennett sits at the start of the stage at 31 seconds down in the overall standings. He's picked up a time bonus so far. He's now at 29 seconds behind, and he's just getting that little bit closer to the orange jersey. If he can win the stage today, another 10-second time bonus, that will make Boris Vallet ever so slightly nervous. Our 2 leaders, this is Bing Chenggu from the Giant Cycling team. He's only just recently joined the American off the front. That's Taylor Sheldon from the Jelly Belly squad. Sheldon won the 3rd of the intermediate sprints. The first of the intermediate sprints, that was taken out by Kennett. The second one by Giuseppe Fonzi. Boris Vallet, so far today, he's picked up 1 second time bonus. That was when he finished in 3rd place in the second of the intermediate sprints. The peloton, they've almost reeled them in. Wanty Group Goubert, I think at this point, they're ignoring that breakaway group and they're just trying to set things up for Boris Vallet. The anticipation at the finish line with the advantage of being able to watch on the very big screen, not just the big one. huge amount of police that helped make this event happen. Great support from the various government officials that travel on the race as well. And they're really enjoying the ongoing growth of this race. It started back in 2010. This is now the 9th edition of the race. And as the man who has been the key figure of the tour so far, Jakub Mareczko, a winner of 16 stages, twice the winner of the overall classification, he's nowhere near being able to win the race this year. And when he did win the stage a couple of days ago, he spoke about the increase in the standard of the race. It's just about all over. Taylor Sheldon, who's been off the front for close to 50 kilometres, along with Bin Chingu, who's only just moments ago managed to get across to the breakaway. They've almost been closed down by Wanty Group Goubert. The peloton has found its pecking order. The breakaway now caught. Wanty Group Goubert at the front because they have the responsibility of protecting the overall race leader. And then sitting in second spot behind them is the team of St. George Continental. They have Ben Dybel, who is second in the overall standings. But more importantly, perhaps than Ben, is Dylan Kennett, who's won 2 stages. He won the prologue, he won yesterday's stage, he won the opening sprint today, and he is one of the favourites to win this stage. The whistles of warning as the peloton head for the finish line yet again. Fluoro colours of the Willia Trestina team, the rider on the white bike, that is Jakub Mareczko. Aiming for career stage victory, number 17 today in this race. Big step up for Mareczko next season when he joins the team we currently know as BMC. New sponsor next year for that team, it will be CCC. And they'll be riding giant bikes rather than BMC bikes. Marco Menard spent a long time at the front of the peloton for Wanty Group Goubert. As you hear the bell, you get a real appreciation for how quick this race is. The average speed has been close to 48 kilometres per hour, and virtually every stage has been ridden at this sort of tempo. You can see the riders throwing off their bottles to the side of the road. That's where all their team helpers are placed. Nobody at that point brave enough to ditch one bidon and pick up a fresh one. They're moving too quickly for that. Good to see the pink and black colours with the orange shoes on it. Ben Dybel protecting his position at the front of the peloton. Second place overall, Ben Dybel, 14 seconds behind. Locked together with Alexander Katafor from United Healthcare. Then Sergei Techkov in 4th position at 18 seconds, followed by Tyler Williams in 5th position at 21 seconds behind. Marco Menard has been a workhorse for the Wanty Group Goubert team. Look at the red, blue and yellow colours off to the left-hand side of the screen. That's Beijing XDS. They're trying to improve their position. They've been sitting patiently down at the back of the peloton all day. Their best hope for the stage victory today is Andrei Kulik. He's had a couple of top 5 placings so far. He won't have a lot of support from the team when it comes to the actual sprint itself. But if they can keep him out of the wind, drop him off near the front of the peloton with just 1 or 2 kilometres to go, he could very well cause an upset. The green jersey, Milano. The man with the beard that's closer to the camera, that's Para. Yesterday it was Para who got the lead out from Milano. Today I expect that it will be Para who does the job supporting the green jersey, Milano. The rider in the white colours moving around the outside, that is Alexander Polivoda. The sprinter from that team is Georges Bourglas. He'll be hoping to go 2 spots better than what he did on the opening stage. There'll be no chance for anybody to break away now, surely. The tempo will just be too quick. There is not a single rise in the row between here and the finish line. This is the 4th time around the circuit, so the riders will all know the circuit well. There'll be no catching anybody by surprise. The one rider that just might try the unthinkable is Ben Hill. Could he make another bold bid for victory with just on 1K to go or so? This is Kennett's number 164 in the black and pink colours. A winner of 2 stages already. Learning the craft of being able to ride within the bunch and doing a very good job of it. The man in white behind him, that's Buglas. He is a good sprinter. There's the race leader, Boris Valet. It's a little over 2 years since he's had a victory. He's had 2 second-place finishes so far in this year's Tour of Taihu Lake. Behind him, 73, that's Mark McNally playing the protector role. He'll then need to help do the lead out for Boris Valet at the end of the stage. Number 146, this is Chung Lung Zhang, who earlier in the stage looked like he was about to abandon, but is still going. Now the colours of the red and yellow of the Eritrean team, making sure that they position Natnil Tesfazion up towards the fronts. Frustration for Tesfazion yesterday when he had a front wheel puncher 6 kilometres from the finish line. Big fall in the peloton. One of the riders from the Israel Cycling Academy going down. A touch of wheels at the midway point in the peloton, falling heavily off to the left-hand side. Also down is Jesus Izquierda from the Burgos BH team. And the blue jersey, Cormac McGough, in the middle of the road, the leader of the Best Young Rider classification. And this is Jianping Liu from the Hingzhai cycling team. He's the rider that was in the break and finished in 2nd position in the 3rd intermediate sprint. There he is now. He needs to get back in contact with the peloton so he can still hold on to that red jersey as the best Chinese rider. And that's caught the attention of the many spectators at the finish line. No waiting at the front of the peloton. Wanty Group Goubert still setting the tempo. This is the Haimen Riverside Village. It is renowned for wonderful fishing, fishing of all different kinds. They've got lots of varieties in there, and then, no doubt, making for a nice meal. Fish is one of the popular dishes here with the Chinese cuisine. Beautiful spot, not too far away from the finish line today as we see the chase now for Cormac McGough, just moments ago involved in the crash. And this is the fall that happened in the peloton just a matter of moments ago. On the left-hand side of the screen, a rider from the Israel Cycling Academy touching the wheels and the domino effects. McGough caught up in the blue jersey. Directly behind him, the red jersey of Liao, the lead Chinese rider. He was up and going straight away. Also involved in the crash, Jianping Liu, who has overtaken Liao in the race for red. So desperate moments for those riders to try and rejoin the peloton and maintain their position in the overall standings. You can see the men in the red and white colours. They're trying to get organised to support Jianping Liu to help him with the chase so they get that spot on the podium at the end of the stage. If he doesn't rejoin the peloton, he'll lose time, and for all the efforts have been in the breakaway, it could be tough. And there could be some confusion at the end of the stage for the race transponders, because Mingram Chen is now riding on the bike of Jianping Liu. They've changed bikes really quickly, so the transponder of a different rider will go across the finish line. So we'll need to pay close attention to that at the end of the stage. This is Liao, who so far today has lost that red jersey. He's got a chase on his hands, though, just to defend his position of trying to regain the peloton. Into the convoy of cars, he's still got time to be able to rejoin. Yesterday we saw Tez Fazion, the Eritrean, in a very similar position, and he did rejoin the race, and he finished in 21st position on the stage. Here we can see the evidence of it. Number 91, Liu, is riding on number 92's bike. That will cause a few bits of confusion for the race officials. They all have transponders on their bikes, and that's what the computer-generated results are determined on. But certainly, it is Liu who is about to rejoin that main field and put himself back in the position to be able to take the red jersey as the best Chinese rider at the end of the stage. Look at this for a show of strength. The Eritreans now coming to the front. They have full faith in Natniel Tesfazion. The fluoro colours of Willia Tristina for the first time showing themselves at the front of the peloton. This is Ben Dybel coming through for St. George Continental. That's Kennett in the middle of the picture. And the pink colours as well from Manzana Postobon. The small figure of the bullet-like sprinter of Jakub Mareczko. A little encouragement there for Osario. That's coming from the green jersey of Milano. Number 32, that is Sergio Higuita. And with that fall that happened just a few moments ago, that will certainly increase the tension within the peloton. 162 at the front here with the orange shoes. That's Ben Dybel. He's second in the overall classification, but he is sacrificing himself for his teammate Dylan Kennett in the hope that Kennett can get the stage victory, another 10-second time bonus, and move himself closer to the overall race lead. Abdi Michael is the rider from Eritrea who is at the front. The man who will be doing the lead out for Tez Fazion today will be Jakob Debesay. He's been sprinting pretty well. He was 16th on the stage yesterday. Number 84, Mareczko, aiming for career win number 17 in this race. The red jersey of Boris Valet for the first time being just washed away ever so slightly. His teammates now surrounding him, moving him back up towards the front. The black and yellow colours, that is the team of Ljubljana Gusto. They're doing the job for Ziga German this afternoon. As we turn our attention to the back of the peloton, the blue jersey, Cormac McGough, with the support of his Jelly Belly teammates, has returned. The entire team, in fact, going to the back of the peloton and making sure McGough stays in contact. And you can see how tight it is at the front of the peloton by comparison to the back of the peloton. The men at the back, they're just getting through, making sure they don't lose any time and maintain their position in the general classification. That's one way to watch the race at the finish line. Live streaming on CCTV5, one of the many Chinese networks. This one covering the race live. Dybel at the front. Matthew Zenovich is the next in line. Followed then by Ryan Kavanagh. This is unfamiliar territory for Ben Dybel, mixing it in amongst the sprinters. He did ride brilliantly on the opening stage. Dybel was second in the prologue, just 3 seconds off the pace of Dylan Kennett, and on such a flat, fast course, that was a big performance for a pure climber. We have seen the peloton today strung out in single file, which always makes it look quick. But now they're going even quicker. It's just not single file because the teams are getting themselves organised and moving their sprinters to the front. It's team time trialling side by side. Still St. George Continental coming to the front of the race. The blue and yellow colours of Wanty Group Goubert, they've taken just a little bit of a rest with the flurry of activity over the last couple of kilometres. It's given them a chance to sit in the wheels and recuperate ever so slightly. This is Willia Trestina now coming through to the front, the fluoro colours. And Moncusson was the rider that you could see in second position, just pushing one of the riders from St George Continental into second wheel. That's so they can try and work together. They've got joint objectives, but once they get to the last kilometre, well, then it's a free-for-all. Polivoda now in the white colours coming through to the front, the Ukrainian champion. He's protecting Georges Bouglas, the Greek sprinter. And now it's the Qinghai team coming through to the front in the red and white colours. Their sprinter is Zizhen Liu. He'll be at the tail end of those three. The blue off to the left, it's Delco Marseille looking after Yannick Martinez. He's the man who's third in line in those blue colours. He's got the all-white helmet on by comparison to the blue and white of the two riders in front of him. The two men in front of him, it's Remy Rocher and Robin Mayer. It is tight on the left-hand side of the road. There's nowhere to move there, but you get more of the drafting, the slipstream effect. The men in the pink colours of Manzana Postobon, they're caught a little bit further back and searching for the green jersey of Milano. There he is, just moving up the left-hand side, squeezing onto the wheel of Para, who has picked up the wheel of the orange jersey of Boris Vallet. They've got their strategy in place, follow the race leader. And for the last couple of stages, Jakub Mareczko has come from a long way back. Yesterday he paid the price, Mareczko finishing in fourth position. He got away with it on stage 3. With the amount that he's been using his team at the front for the last few kilometres, he's showing the signs of a man that does not want to take that risk again. Max Moncusson now on the front. Zenovic being pushed into second position. Polivoda starting to show the struggle. The rider in the white colours, he's swinging out, stepping out of the way, not interrupting the sprint. He's now leaving it over to Bouglas to try and finish it off. And the Eritreans are very tight. They are trimming the hedges. They're saving the gardener. A little bit of work on the right-hand side of the screen. Tight on the gutter for the Eritreans. No fear as they try to set the stage up for Tesfazion. Meanwhile, at the back of the peloton, so quickly, the rider in the white colours, that is Polivoda, just a matter of seconds ago. He was at the front of the race. He's quickly stepped out of the way. It's now over to Bouglas to see if he can get the win. Bouglas was second on stage 1, the circuit race around Bin Hu, when it was Milano who won the stage. So he is sprinting with confidence. Now the pink colours of Manzana Postobon, they're coming around the outside. Third position is the green jersey of Milano, and perhaps Milano again will be working for Para. Now it's Wanty Group Goubert, the blue and yellow colours, positioning the orange jersey. Vallet is fourth in line from that squad. Willia Trestina are muscling their way into the action. This is the race for the final corner now. The sprint is on for that corner to make sure their fast finisher is in the best possible place. Mareczko has got himself behind the orange jersey. 1 kilometre remaining. Kennett, out in the wind, is spending a lot of energy to try and get himself into the slipstream. In fact, that's Morgan Smith, who is trying to get himself in front of Kennett to protect him. Smith doing a good job. It is still Marco Menard who is at the front for Wanty Group Goubert. The orange jersey sits in fourth position. That is Boris Vallet. Directly behind him is Jakub Mareczko. Tesfazion is also in the mix for Eritrea. Now opening up the sprint, it's Wesley Kreder. They get through the corner safely. Kreder is at the front. Willia Trestina next in line. It is then Vallet, followed next in line by Mareczko. Tesfazion is waiting, but he's having a little bit of the push and shove. The sprint is being opened up. This is Mosca who is on the front. Vallet is waiting. Mareczko goes early. The Italian Bullets has opened up the gap. It's going to be a matter of just how far for Mareczko. Magnificent victory for the Italian. Makes it look comfortable. Mareczko convincing. Well, that's the best he's looked. There was never any doubt once he got his nose in front. Winning ahead of Chima with Tesfazion in third. Valet was fourth. Bonifacio rounding out the top 5. And the camaraderie between the race leader and the stage winner. Congratulations coming from Filosi, another one of the Italians in the race. That was the rider in the blue colours. But Marechko, full of respect for Boris Valet, the overall race leader. Debrief time amongst the Italians. And it was Marechko this time who went early. Through the corner cleanly. His teammate opens up the sprint. That's Mosca that takes over the running. Making it fast to make sure that Marechko's got clean air. And then as the pushing and shoving started, just behind Marechko, that was Tesfazion who was fighting for his position. Marechko, with barely any room to move, slips up the inside of Boris Valet. Tesfazion chasing. Chima sprinting through for second, but Marechko with breathing space and time to celebrate. Head and shoulders above the rest today. His teammates knew it a long way out. They were the first to celebrate. As Kennett was protesting, Willie and Tristina are planning what to do with the champagne. It's a team victory. They rode brilliantly today, Willie and Tristina. They didn't take responsibility too early. They sat back and they just waited ever so slightly. 46.6 kilometres per hour, the average speed today. Another rapid day's racing. Group photo for Willie and Tristina. Rightly so. Marechko was so well delivered to that final corner. And one man missing from the photo. Or are they all there? No, they all there. There's one man missing from the team, however, from the start of the race. Moreno Marchetti. He did not finish stage 2. Another good day for number 75, Boris Valet. Finished in 4th position on the stage, but he has extended his overall race lead. He's extended his lead through finishing in 3rd place in the second intermediate sprint, collecting a 1-second time bonus. So that puts him 15 seconds ahead of Ben Dybel. Valet has spoken about his desire to try and pick up a stage victory, but the priority is most certainly the orange jersey. Just saw the Eritrean, Abdi Michael, making his way back to the team pits. This is the green jersey of Juan Sebastian Milano, although he doesn't lead that classification. And the sprint didn't go so well for the Colombians today. In fact, their best placed was Jordan Parra in 15th position. They have had a successful tour though. Juan Sebastian Milano with 2 stage victories so far. United Healthcare in the blue colours. They were disappointed on stage 2 when their sprinter Carlos Alzate had to abandon the race with a broken collarbone. They've got 2 riders inside the top 10 overall, but they're just not fast enough in the sprint finishes to be able to get time bonuses and improve their placing at all. In fact, they have Alexander Cataford sitting in 3rd place overall at 15 seconds behind the orange jersey of Boris Valet. Milano, he looks pretty relaxed about it all. So too does the entire team. There's our stage winner, Marechko. Marechko not too far away from stepping out onto the podium to collect the honours yet again as a stage winner in the Tour of Taihu Lake. Nantong Lakeside National Park is one of the great attractions here. So too the city with its burgeoning urban growth. It's not too far away from Shanghai. Solar power, also one of the great initiatives, and lots of research in science and engineering. Marechko collecting the stage victory, head and shoulders above everybody else today. Vastly different celebration to the one 2 days ago when it looked like relief. This one was more confirmation of his class. Let's now head down to the stage winner, Jakub Marechko.
Jakub, your second victory of this year's tour. How sweet is this one?
Yeah, sure. Yesterday my mates worked hard, and today we stay in the Peloton. So I'm happy for this victory. The guys in the final kilometers were perfect, so this is a good result for us.
Just talk me through the final few hundred meters. What was the team tactic?
So only stay in front, be together with Wanty that have the GC jersey, so it's only that, stay in front.
And tomorrow, going forwards, the similar stages, how motivated are you to finish this tour with 2 more wins?
I don't know, day by day we see what happens, and we hope in a better. Thank you.
Understandably so, full of praise for his teammates. They did do a wonderful job today. As much as anything else, it was their patience in the earlier part of the stage. They didn't waste any unnecessary energy. It gave them a chance to deliver in the end. This is a look back at stage 5, getting underway with the firing of the gun. The wearers of the various leaders' jerseys, as always, getting the privilege of starting at the very head of the peloton. 104 riders making it to the start line today from the 121 who started the opening prologue in Wuxi back on Sunday. A brief neutral section throughout the stage behind the lead vehicle, and it gave us a good look at the riders who were eager to get into the breakaway. This was the first of the intermediate sprints as the battle was on for time bonuses in the race for the red jersey for the best Chinese rider. Liu getting amongst it, but he missed out. He finished 4th, as it was Dylan Kennett continuing his good form from yesterday, who won the sprint ahead of Bonifacio, with Chima in 3rd place. Unfortunately for Liu, he finished 4th position, so no time bonuses for him. He started the day 1 second down in the race for red. On to the second of the intermediate sprints, and it was the St. George Continental team trying to organise the lead out for Kennett to continue the clean sweep of the past 24 hours. But Kennett got caught in traffic as Valet went over the top. It was then Giuseppe Fonzi who was the quickest, getting there first ahead of Chima. Valet in 3rd position. 3rd place finish for Boris Valet, giving him another 1 second time bonus and extending his advantage in the race for the orange jersey. It was then a breakaway group of 3 forming at the front as there was a little bit of rough discussion at the head of the peloton. The red jersey of Liao doing the chasing, trying to defend his position as the top Chinese rider in the race, but the teammates of Jianping Liu, they were disrupting. Then through to the 3rd and final intermediate sprint, Castillo was doing the lead out. Taylor Sheldon sitting at the back of the group. He was the rider who was the best placed in the general classification. This sprint giving Sheldon a 3 second time bonus, moving him up to 6th place overall. But importantly for number 91, Jianping Liu, 2nd in that intermediate sprint, a 2 second time bonus, the new leader in the race for the red jersey. Castillo went across the line in 3rd position. The Mexican from Jelly Belly then quickly surrendered and went back to the peloton. So too did Jianping Liu And it wasn't long after that Taylor Sheldon was also reeled back in. That was just on 15 kilometres remaining. As Wanty Group Gobert, as they had been doing right throughout the stage, were controlling the tempo. Full responsibility for the orange jersey of the race leader, Boris Valet, as there was a touch of wheels at the midway point of the peloton. And a host of riders tumbling over the top, the classic domino effect. Amongst them, the blue jersey of Cormac McGough. But significantly, Wan Yao Vincent Liao, the red jersey, the lead Chinese rider, along with his big rival, Jianping Liu, who'd taken that classification away from him throughout the day. They were both held up. They then worked together to rejoin the peloton to finish on the same time as the stage winner. As they rounded the final corner, it was Wesley Creeder at the front who opened up the throttle to get the sprint started. Just behind him, it was Mosca who then went for Willia Trestina. And with the peloton strung out in single file, Marechko had some clear air. Mosca was motoring, Valet was waiting, and then it was Marechko who went and he moved in emphatic fashion. As soon as Marechko opened up the other afterburners, the rest of them were racing for second. Marechko winning comfortably. Schimmer in second spot, Tesfazion in third. And the celebration behind from Mosca, the man who did the lead-outs. Jakob Marechko winning the stage, Emilio Chima in second position, Natniel Tesfazion in third. He's made the podium, well done. Valet in fourth, Bonifacio in fifth. It was then Ziga German in sixth, followed by Buglas, Habtom, it was then Lopez and Okamoto. Two riders from the Eritrean team inside the top 10, showing the depth of strength of that team. In the race for the orange jersey, it is Boris Valet who sits at the top of the general classification. But there's a little bit of confusion in the leaderboard with some of the crashes that were involved from today's stage, with the chips on the bikes of the riders going across the line not quite working out in the order that I believe it should be. Boris Valet, he certainly does lead the race for the green jersey, with Milano in second position. Marechko getting ever so closer up to third. Kennett in fourth, followed by Chima, making it into the top five with his second place finish on today's stage. And in the race for the blue jersey, we do have a new leader, as Chima, collecting the time bonuses today, has now moved into the lead. Tesfazion is up into second position. Fuentes is in third place. Keegan Swerble into fourth position. Cormac McGough has slipped from the lead down to ninth place. And a new leader in the race for the red jersey, it is Jianping Liu, who has taken over the lead. Chen is also moved up into second place. It is Liao who is now in third position. Jiu is in fourth place, with Zhang rounding out the top five there. So the final kilometre today, it was the perfect lead out by the Willia Trestina team. And it was a race for the final corner. Willia Trestina and Wanty Group Gobert, the two teams at the front, two of the bigger budgeted teams on the race. As the St. George Continental team, they got caught out, and Dylan Kennett, another learning experience for the Kiwi. He was fighting for positions just a little bit further back. He got himself up behind Chima of Nippo Vini Fantini. But then he was too busy remonstrating with the riders who were in front of him, pushing and shoving. Through the final corner, Wesley Creeder got them started. It was then Jacopo Mosca who opened up the afterburners for Willia Trestina. As Marechko, this was the first time he's come into the last 500 metres inside the top five. And he showed his class when he went It was just a matter of how much of a gap he could open up above the others. Boris Verlet really got caught by surprise and he was swamped. Tesfazion at this point was holding on to second, but Chima just pipped him. Verlet was in fourth. Not quite the jubilation for Jakub Mareczko as we saw when he won stage 3, but still plenty of delight for the entire Willia Trestina team. And the riders calling in the team support help as well for the photo, as the work that happens backstage is so important. Big smile on the right-hand side of the screen from the French rider on the team, Max Moncussin. He's here with that long-format job interview, as what is known in cycling as a stagiaire. A 3-month test period with the team to see whether they'll keep him for next season. Based on what he's done throughout this race, it'd be a smart signing. He's been one of the key workhorses for the team. And has done a really impressive job. The riders back of house before being introduced to the podium to collect their prizes. And we'll start off with the presentation for the stage winner. The top 3 on the stage will be brought out onto the podium. This is the Eritrean Natniel Tesfazion. Up onto the podium for the first time. He had a 4th place finish a few days ago. A frustrating puncher yesterday. 3rd place today. 2nd place, Emilio Chima steps out on the podium for Nippo Vini Fantini. And the winner for the 17th time in his career at the Tour of Taihu Lake, it is Jakub Mareczko. The pocket rocket from Italy. The medal's been presented by one of the local dignitaries.
Congratulations to the top 3 rider of the stage.
Mareczko has enough experience on this podium to be able to provide everybody else there with the instructions of how it's done. Mareczko, Chima, Tesfazion. Of all the African nations with their growing strength in cycling, it is the Eritreans who are leading the way. South Africans, particularly with Daryl Impey, have got strong representation. Likewise with Van Rensburg as well, out of South Africa. But the depth in numbers from Eritrea, at that next level down, about to burst onto the world stage, really is impressive. Mareczko, he manages to win the stage. Importantly in the race for the orange jersey, Boris Verlet, 4th on the stage today, but he still sits at the top of the general classification, and he has himself a 15-second lead in the general classification with 2 stages still to come.
Now representing the orange jersey, which represents the leader of the general classification. Let's welcome the leader of the orange jersey after stage 5. Boris Verlet from Team 1 Team Group.
Presentations still rolling on through. The orange jersey, Boris Valet, another successful day for the Belgian. The 25-year-old, I think his attention is turning away from the stage victory. He doesn't quite have the finishing speed, and he's very much focusing on the orange jersey. But he also leads in the race for green for the points classification. And he has extended his advantage further today over Juan Sebastian Molano. Another consistent performance. He picked up 1 point at the second intermediate sprint and finishing in 4th position on the stage today. He's collected a further 8 points there. He's going to need an excess baggage allowance by the time he makes it back to Belgium with all the jerseys he's been collecting. Helmets as well, presented at the stage finish. At the end of any season, it's good to go out with some success, to head into the off-season with optimism, looking forward to 2019. And if Boris Valet can continue this pattern, that will most definitely be the case for him. He's had a nervous smile the first few days. It's looking ever so slightly more relaxed. His belief in his ability to win will be reinforced by the fact that every single stage since taking the race lead, he has extended his advantage. Only by a little bit, just a couple of seconds here or there, but it's always better if it's growing rather than shrinking.
And then we're presenting the blue jersey, which represents the leader of the best young rider classification. We have
next up, the blue jersey.
Let's welcome to the stage Emerio Cima from Team Nippo Vini Fantini.
The Italian, Emerio Cima, is the new leader in the race for the blue jersey for the best young rider. Cima is just 20 years of age. He has just recently been signed by this team, Nippo Vini Fantini, and they have signed him for 3 years.
Congratulations to Emerio Cima with the
They have so much faith in him, they've given him a 3-year contract, and the family has had some success in China this year. Not only has Cima been riding well in China, his older brother was the winner of the Tour of Taihu earlier on this year. So the Italians forming a good relationship with racing in China. And you can see by the lack of stubble on his face just how young Cima is. More shaving of the legs than the face, I suspect. There's been a couple of changes in the classifications today, in addition to the change in the race for the blue jersey. Also a change in the race for the red jersey.
Which represents the best rider from the Greater China region. Let's welcome to the stage Liu Jianpeng.
This is Jianpeng Liu, who got himself into the breakaway to be able to collect the time bonus at the 3rd and final intermediate sprint. A 2-second time bonus, moving him into the much sought after red jersey as the leading Chinese rider in the race. This has been an intriguing battle throughout the week. It was Liao who took it in the prologue. He held on to it for the following 3 days. Now it's moved over to fresh shoulders. It's not over yet though. The time gaps are still very tight. And now the former leader, Wan Yan Liao, will need to try and get himself in the breakaway. Replicate what Jianpeng Liu did today and try and get off the fronts and collect a bonus at one of the intermediate sprints.
The leader of the general classification. Let's welcome the leader of the orange jersey after stage 5. Boris Valet from Team 1.
The most important of them all, now the orange jersey as the leader of the race overall, Boris Valet. This is the jersey that carries the most pressure. Puts a big target on his back. Yes, it gives you more respect in the peloton. You get a little bit more breathing space. And they often talk about the leader's jersey in major tours providing a bit of extra strength. But it also makes for a little bit more nervous night's sleep.
Again to Boris Valet, the leader of the general classification after stage 5.
All smiles for Boris Valet. Leader of 2 classifications, but this is the jersey that he wears as opposed to the green jersey because orange always takes priority. This is Taylor Sheldon now stepping out onto the podium as the winner of the most combative prize today. And rightly so. It was the only decision that could be made. The rider from the Jelly Belly team was in the breakaway for a long time. He won the 3rd intermediate sprint when they came through the finish line for the 2nd time around. He's also improved his position in the general classification with that intermediate sprint. He started the day in 7th. He is now up to 6th place overall. Each of the jerseys and a selfie from Boris Valet. The blue jersey with Chima, the red jersey with Liu. The green jersey is also with Boris Valet, but he wears orange because that's the one that matters the most. And they're joined on the podium by the man who was awarded the most combative, Taylor Sheldon. Champagne time to celebrate, but there's still 2 more days of racing. Boris Valet is at the top of the general classification with a 15-second buffer. He's in the box seat, but this race is a long way from being over. Busting for the bathroom.